We're on the way.
Oh, we've had a bit of a stumble at the start already.
Oh, wow. We've lost one of the Japanese athletes as well as can't catch the hip number of the other athlete we lost, but very early. And it's Wakara Kabasawa. This Japanese athlete really going it hard. Nia squeezes up the rail.
And Carly Thackeray, she was the one that also went down there. So that's not good to see, especially not at the start. But obviously they had the ability to get straight back up and onto the back of the field. So hopefully that doesn't affect them too much. Now this field definitely is the quality field of the evening. The depth that we have in this race is actually quite amazing. As you went through earlier, Matt, the fact that we've got Hull, Gregson, Hall, Duncan, Spencer, C, Campbell, the steeplechaser, Caitlin Adams, Pukashek, Jenny Blundell, Olympian, you know, just the list goes on and on. And a couple of Japanese athletes straight to the front. So that's Kabasawa off the front. And her teammate, Naya, just sitting in there behind her. And Takashima. So the three Japanese athletes dictating the pace at the moment. Hull just happy to sit behind the three of them, followed by Linden, then Jenny Blundell, there's Gregson. Also Davies starting to make her way up to the shoulder of Gregson. So the pace is on, the field is stretched out, which is good to see. Obviously, these athletes are trying to achieve that Olympic nomination mark. And the Japanese athletes definitely setting this up nicely for that to happen. So 15:10 is the mark. That's what they're after. And any athlete who wins this and achieves that time will have an automatic nomination straight through to the AOC for their selection through to the Tokyo Olympics. And that's what we want to achieve and see from this event this evening. So still the Japanese off the front. Kabasawa and Naya holding the pace nicely. Takashima, she's dropped back a little bit now. She's sitting there behind Blundell. So it's Kabasawa, Naya, Hull, Hall, Gregson, Davies, Blundell. And they're your top on the track at the moment. So strong pace so far. We'll try and bring you some splits.
So Kabasawa drops off. So it's Nia leading the way. Now for those at home, if Hull can take the win, she'll be an auto nomination to the AOC for this event. The other athletes need to either achieve the time here if they win, or achieve it before June 29. Now the tricky thing is, you can't do the 5K and the 1500 double at Tokyo.
Well, you can.
You can. Hard. It's just hard. And when I say hard, the women's 5K heats are day one. And then 4 days later, or 3 days, so day 1 to day 4. On day 4 in the morning of the 1500 heats, and at the night, the 5K final. And when you've got athletes like Lyndon Hall and Jess Hull, who are so good over the 15 and great over the 5, the tactics here, you would think, do you go for just get on the plane first and then worry about what event later.
So through the mile, they're on 15:12 pace. So they're right about that mark. I have to make sure they keep up the rhythm. Can't afford to drop off this pace at all. So Naya from Japan off the front, followed by Hull, Gregson and Hall. Bit of a gap opening up back to Davies and the rest of the field. So probably the three favourites you would have said going into this one, along with the Japanese competitor. Your first four on the track. And rightfully so in hit number 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the seeders got it right. That was the way to do it.
Now, if you tuned into the 2018 Zatopek, Nia was the eventual winner there, so she's won on this track previously. I can't say how many times she's competed at Lakeside, but she's 1 from 1. So can she go 2 from 2? This is our first 4. Gregson has a 15:06 over this distance. She did do this event in Rio, along with the steeple. And Lyndon Hall, a 15:18 that she did by herself at the Hunter Track Classic back in 2018. She was in some ripping form. She was actually hoping to do the 5K 15 double at Commonwealth Games, but didn't run the trials. Was hoping to just get selected in it with a handy 15:18, but unfortunately not selected. Came 4th in the 15 and then went on to break the national record in the 15 later that year. So she's handy over this distance. Hasn't really been pushed hard over this 12.5 laps, so it'd be good to see what she can do in a race like this. They're still sitting on 15:12 pace. And Hull, Gregson and Hall are very lucky that the Japanese distance runners do enjoy running out in front. So you're basically getting handed a pacemaker for the entire race. And they can just sit behind. Nia has a 5,000 best of a 15:10, but she did that in 2012. But she is fresh off a 66 second half marathon, so you know she's got some endurance in those legs. Has she got the speed? Now just dropping Lyndon Hall a little bit, sitting 3rd Australian, 4th overall, and hopefully they can catch back up, because she's gonna be stuck in no man's land there. Hull looks pretty comfortable, and so does Gregson. Hall looks like she might have just closed that gap a little bit. We'll get a 3K split when they go through the bell. Would love to see a few of the girls under 15:10. So they're still on that 15:15 pace, so they've lost a little bit there. Let's see if they can pick it up over the last 2,000 metres. Hall fading off the back of this lead group right now. But Nia, Hull and Gregson are looking comfortable. Cadence staying the same.
Gregson really one of the toughest competitors across a real variety of distances in Australia. You know, she's going to give this absolutely everything she's got.
We'll see who's got the pedigree. Hull just has a look around.
So we've had word that Heidi C has dropped out of this one.
Australian is 73.
So she won't take any further part
Hull probably an athlete who's going to wait as
in this 5,000 metre national title.
to mark her spot.
So still Naya off the front. And the Australian women would be very thankful that she's in this race because she's doing all the pacing, all the work off the front, which means Hull and also Gregson can just sit in behind and just go along with the rhythm. So 4 laps to go. It's a race in 3 now. Hall's found herself in no woman's land, just sitting back there. Well, she watches the 3 leaders run away a little bit. It's a tough position to be in, and then there's another big gap back to the rest of the field. But the focus is all on the front 3 leaders, Naya, Hall and Gregson. There's a 3 of them run around in the same uniform. The Nike-sponsored athletes are out here. So who's going to take out this national title? Obviously, Naya cannot take those honours, being the international competitor. She can't obtain place points to help her World Athletics ranking. But she's here helping the Australians in this 5,000 metre title, dictating the pace, just allowing the others to sit in behind her and utilise that. There's going to be a race on for the first Australian between Hull and also Gregson as they continue to move away from Hall. Hall still holding that mark over Blundell and also Davies, who lead that chase pack. They'll be fighting it out for the bronze medal, and they'll have Hall in their sights because they'd love to find themselves up on the podium. But no one's going to take away the gold or the silver from these 2. As Hull has a little bit of a cheeky look back to see where Gregson is. And the pace lifts. It starts to go up. The pace was sitting about that 15-15 mark, so just a bit down on the 15-10 that's needed. As we mentioned before, Hull has that time, so she just needs the win. Gregson's out there, and she's the one that needs the time. As the pace lift, Gregson responds. She gets back up to the shoulder of Hull as the 3 athletes continue to run around in a line with Naya, who's been off the front from start. She had a bit of a help from Kawasawa at the start of the race in the early stages, but then it was all Naya from there on, and she's done all the work with pretty much 0 assistance from the rest of the field. And Hull has been all too happy just to sit in there behind her, as has Gregson, as they move on to the back straight, coming towards the final stages of this event. And it is Hull still there, another bit of a gap, bit of a repeat on the last lap. Gregson just dropped a little bit down the back straight as that pace sort of lifted, and she was able to get back up as they came into the home straight. Hull,
here we go,
starts to make a bit of a move. She goes around Naya. Gregson can't respond to this one. It's a good solid move. She's done it from about 550 out from the finish line, and it looks like it's been a decisive one. Both Naya and Gregson haven't been able to match the pace, and the in-form Hull off that indoor 1,500 metres where she went 4:04. She'll come down to receive the bell, and she's looking super strong with only 400 to run. And then it's Naya, followed by Gregson. Gregson's still trying to hold on there, but this is Hull's race. She's really opened up this field, and she's looking super strong. And she comes around to the bend, onto the back straight. Doesn't look like tiring whatsoever. I don't think Gregson's going to be able to catch her from here. This is going to be a 400-metre victory lap for Hull. Naya's still sitting in second, followed by Gregson. We'll try and see if we can cut back and see where that 3rd place is. It was Hall at that stage, but Hull, all eyes are on her as she comes around. 150 to run. She'll enter the straight. She'll look up and see the finish line, and she'll also see that automatic nomination through to the AOC. There's a smile on her face. She knows she's got this. She knows they're not going to catch her. She's drifted out into lane 2. and she's going to come down for a brilliant victory, and she's going to go sub 15:10. She gets the time as well, even though she already had it. 15:06, 1-3 on the clock. And congratulations, Jess Hull. You have yourself an automatic nomination through to the AOC, and we shall see you in Tokyo.
Nicely done there, mate. Jen Gregson there, finishing in second. Jenny Blundell up into third place. So Blundell will take the bronze here tonight. And she would have sliced a good 34 seconds off. She came in with a 15:54 best, and that was easily a 15:20 for Blundell, which is absolutely massive. 15:06.13. Even that time would be enough to place her 6th all-time Australian from Jess Hull.
Huge.
First national title as well, we can't forget that. First open national title for Hull. And this is where it gets interesting now, having this automatic nomination to the AOC. She's got 2 qualifiers now. Does she come back for the 1500?
Well, it's one of those things, as you said, you can't do...
Unless you are just so absolutely sure of yourself as a 5K athlete, would you do the heat before the final of the 1500? So, I don't know, it's going to be your first Olympics. Honestly, it's where you see your biggest strengths are. And I think with her 1500 metre speed, she could make an impact if it's a slow race in that 5,000 metres.
It's true, but after seeing that indoor 4:04,
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where we look at it and go...
She kicked down over the bronze medalist from the 5K in Doha.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we look at it and go, could you be the first Australian woman to ever go sub-4? I think that's there, and that's the thing, is that you start looking at those times, you start talking Olympic finals in the 1500.
Yeah.
Which would be absolutely massive.